When the Clippers traded for James Harden, it started off as a disaster, but now they're playing their best regular season basketball in the 2-1-3 era. At first, there were not enough basketballs for 4 future Hall of Famers who've all been the first scoring option at one point in their career. Sacrifice and a change in approach for the better has been the key for the Clippers' success. Last season was an utter disappointment for a team that had the 5th highest odds to win the championship going into the season, but losing in the first round. Nicholas Batum was saying wait until Christmas as if they can just flip a switch rather than build good habits from the get-go. The Clippers as an organization didn't take the regular season seriously enough and excessively load managed Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Both of them played under 60 games. Load management proved to not actually prevent injuries as Paul George had a season-ending knee injury anyways. Before the season, Tyronn said on the All the Smoke podcast,
one thing I told Kawhi and PG this summer, like, we do got to approach the regular season in a different way. Like, we got to be, approach the regular season, like, let's be serious about it. Let's not wait to the playoffs because it matters. Like, who you get matched up with, have a home court advantage, not fighting the last 10 games of the season so we won't be in the play-in. So now you can get rest. Now you can get yourself together and be ready for the playoffs. And so they both understood that as well.
The Clippers as a team have come to the realization now that the regular season is where they need to build good habits and continuity. Russell Westbrook was able to rejuvenate himself with the Clippers late last season after a tumultuous stint with the Lakers. Now that Russ has been through a training camp and preseason with the Clippers, there's continuity with him. He fits the Clippers so much better than he ever could have fit the Lakers. He and LeBron are both ball dominant. They don't move much without the ball, and Russ is not the floor spacer that LeBron needs with his play style. Even with both of them being future Hall of Famers, having them share the floor together was a recipe for disaster right from the get-go because the fit was terrible. As a result, Russ seemed very discouraged while playing for the Lakers. We can just see it in his body language how much more welcomed he's felt since he became a Clipper. The Clippers started this season 3-1 before trading Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, Marcus Morris Sr., and Kenyon Martin Jr. for a disgruntled James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Filip Petrusev. Apologies if I mispronounce his name. To have Kawhi, PG, Russ, and Harden all on one team together sounded like a terrible fit because there's not enough basketballs for the 4 of them, and indeed it was when Harden came in. They lost their first 5 games with Harden, who needed some time to get in shape after sitting out training camp, preseason, and the first 3 regular season games with the Sixers. It seemed like the Clippers were hopeless, both with the bad fit and James Harden being a terrible defender, who the Clippers gave up a lot of defense for. The Clippers were just 23rd in defensive rating in those first 5 games with Harden and weren't much better offensively with him on the floor. The turnaround started with Russell Westbrook making a big sacrifice, which he deserves a lot of praise for, to voluntarily come off the bench when he's a former MVP and future Hall of Famer. He was labeled as selfish early in his career, but we can throw that notion out the window because how could someone with his resume be selfish when they voluntarily come off the bench? Not only that, sure, he's not quite the athlete he was in OKC, he's still very athletic for a 35-year-old. Russ is averaging a career low in points per game. Even Norman Powell and Ivica Zubac, who are career role players, are outscoring him, but that is due to sacrifice, and Russ is finding other ways to contribute as a high-energy guy off the bench. The next thing is taking the regular season more seriously. Kawhi has been the face of load management in recent years, but so far he's only missed 4 games. Him playing all 82 was never meant to be, but for him to only miss 4 so far when he hasn't played at least 60 since 2019 and at least 70 since 2017 is certainly something I would feel optimistic about. Now on to James Harden. Things may have started out terrible, but he has been much better as of late. He may not have the same burst he had in Houston, but he is still very much a star level player. He averaged 20 points per game in the month of December, even while playing a significantly reduced role from what we're used to seeing him play. I've made my disdain for James Harden's play style, lack of effort on defense, and quitting on the last 3 teams he played for be very well known, but I'll also give him credit where it's due. Embracing the mid-range shot far more than when he played under Mike D'Antoni in Houston is making him way more tolerable to watch, even if he still over dribbles. Now he's a lot less predictable because he's willing to take mid-range shots. Going back to Russell Westbrook's sacrifice, it also allowed Harden to operate more both as a scorer and playmaker. I'll also have to give Harden credit where it's due for knowing when it's time for him to score, and also allow Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, as the two better scorers at this stage of their careers, do their thing. All of these things propelled the Clippers to a 9-game winning streak last month, their longest winning streak in the 2-1-3 era. Now they are on a 5-game winning streak as of the recording of this video. They even just beat the Pelicans, who went into this game on a 4-game winning streak and have had the Clippers number the last 3 years. Let's now see if they can match any of their longest winning streaks from the Lob City era. For sure, I think this team is more built for a championship than Lob City ever was. What else has helped the Clippers more recently? Terrence Mann, who for a while looked like he lost his confidence, is starting to find his shot again. Ty Lue deserves some credit for taking pressure off of him by telling him that he doesn't need to focus on offense and just do his part on defense. Even when he lost his confidence in his shot, he's a guy who's willing to play off the ball, which this team needs when they have 4 guys who need the ball. All this said, this team certainly hasn't been perfect. Paul George still has his careless turnovers, and James Harden does still tend to over dribble and is often lazy on defense, and the team's defense has only been good but not elite this season. They could definitely go after someone like Alex Caruso or Dorian Finney-Smith before we're at the trade deadline to bolster their defense, since they lost that by trading Batum and Covington. And PJ Tucker, a once all-defensive player, is just old and riding the bench now. They do have a solid rim protector in Ivica Zubac though, and on offense, Zubac has really benefited as a lob threat with Harden's presence. The way the Clippers have gelled since Russell Westbrook volunteered to come off the bench despite being a future Hall of Famer is definitely impressive though, and hopefully the younger generation can learn from this on how important sacrifice is for the better of the team, no matter what you've done in the past. It's also their much different approach in taking the regular season more seriously this time around is also very noticeable and very admirable. I think as long as this team stays healthy, at the very least they may actually be the biggest threat to dethrone the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference. The Timberwolves and Thunder have better records right now, but they're still inexperienced. I still think the Nuggets are the safer bet to make it out of the Western Conference, but I wouldn't say the Clippers have no shot against the Nuggets either. Now, before anyone says anything about the Lakers' problems, which of course I know they have plenty of, and I'm making a video on that too, so hope you stay tuned. I know the Clippers are much closer to being a championship team than the Lakers. Besides, it's not even a real rivalry to me anyway, since the two teams have never faced each other in the playoffs, so the Clippers playing winning basketball really doesn't bother me at all. Do you think the Clippers can win it all though? Please let me know in the comments down below. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this, please consider giving this a like. Also, if you want to see more, feel free to consider subscribing and turning on notifications. I'd love to have you as part of the team, and if you're already subscribed, thank you as always. Links to my social media are down below. If you'd like to see my most recent video and the one that YouTube recommends, both are up above. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.